So, hello, good evening. Should we start? So, Gauri, you had some doubt yesterday. You can ask now. Yes, you can ask doubt if you have any. When I brainstorm, then it takes time to related ideas and dimensions. So, when you're trying to brainstorm, it takes more time for you to collect ideas, collect different dimensions. This is what I can understand from this particular query. So for this you need practice. I'll suggest do one thing. Every single day, sit for 15-20 minutes and just brainstorm on any one topic. Okay, any one particular quote. Just brainstorm, and this will take time. Actually, this is an exercise that you can do even for your GS papers, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, and same for the essay. Now it is taking time because you're not in touch with this particular practice of brainstorming. You have all those ideas with you, but it is taking time. So this just requires some more practice. Use one thing, as in all those methods which we have. Try to use those methods. For example, that pestle approach, why, when, how, all those things, to collect as much as possible. But as far as that random brainstorming is concerned, that is where you might be facing this problem. There only practice will bring you that aspect wherein you will learn how I'll come up with more dimensions, more things. And where you find that I'm not able to brainstorm at all, at that point of time, just remember, think logically. Okay, think logically, whatever. As far as the macro dimension is concerned, if you just think in a logical manner, you will come up with some dimension. Okay. And in that macro dimension, think about your syllabus part, think about whatever is part of your syllabus. Start looking at syllabus, you will start finding something. Okay. So yes, you will need some time, at least if you try for, let's say, 10, 12 essays, if you try, brainstorming, this will work. Even I'll suggest one more thing. What happens is, our mind is not in practice. That's the reason this happens. So even when you have examination, on the day of the examination, let's say the paper is at 9 o'clock, so at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, take any one quote from PYQ or anywhere and just do brainstorming, at least for one quote. On the day of exam, I'm saying. Reason being, you are revising, you're doing so many things, but you're not in that output mindset. Your mind is not ready for giving you that output. So to come into practice, at least to bring your mind into that particular phase, you just need practice. If you do brainstorming for one quote also, the second one becomes very easy. That's the reason, even in the essay paper, writing the first essay is a tedious task or a difficult task. Sometimes it even takes more time. See, 1.5 hours we give to first essay and 1.5 hours to the second. But most of the times I have observed people cross that limit for the first essay. But still they complete the second essay in time. Reason being, now they are in practice. Their mind is ready for that brainstorming and all that thing. Okay. So just practice, take some time. Yes. Any other doubt apart from this? Can I use the same approach in both the essays? Same approach as in you're talking about, let's say, the kind of structuring you're saying. So if it is about structuring, no problem. There's nothing like, nobody's going to punish you for using the same kind of structure. But you can, make little change in that structuring. Anyway, both essays will not be of same type or the same content will not be there. So more or less, even if you want to use the same thing, that will not happen. Examples will be different, dimensions will be different. Somewhere there will be difference. Right? But don't be in that mindset wherein you have one template which you are following, and with that template only you are coming up with that essay. Like I talked about that pestle approach, that there is a template. People think that with this template I'll write down all the essay. This will not happen. Every essay demands something different. I'll discuss few essays today. I'll just talk about the meaning of that essay, just the way we did yesterday too. So if you understand, a particular essay has a particular keyword, they are discussing a core idea in that. Let's say one essay is interested in talking about responsibility. There is another essay talking about accountability. So even if you use the same approach, still for the reader it might not be visible that you had used the same approach. So for brainstorming, use all these approaches. It's not about same approach. First I told you, first think randomly. Let anything come out from within. After that, go for different approaches. Come up with all the content and then organize it. Now ask your mind which type of organization would look better. Should I write it in a temporal scale? Should I write it in different paragraphs which talk about different dimensions? How should I go ahead with? Just think about that. Once you have brainstormed, once you have got that raw structure, after that you can decide the flow. Okay? So no issues. Even if you're going for the same approach, not a problem. They'll judge your essay and not your approach. Okay? Yes. Any other doubt apart from this? No? Okay. Now see, today what we'll do is, we'll first learn how to write good introductions. Okay, I'll discuss how you can think about it and how some introductions which I've tried to bring in for you. You can read that and you can understand how you can come up with such introductions. That's not a very difficult task. You just need to have that mindset about introduction. Okay, then we'll look at one particular essay. I'll discuss that in detail. And then some of the essays will try to again understand the core meaning or the core theme behind the essays, because that's the most important part, especially with respect to your reflective or philosophical essays. If we understand it, then the remaining task becomes easier. Anyway, we have discussed the structuring part in detail, right? Now, as far as this introduction part is concerned, one thing should be clear in our mind, that one way is you write the essay in a normal way, the way you are writing, or the entire essay which is written in a language which you use normally. But see the importance of introduction. There is a reader who is living in his world. You have to attract that reader towards you. And to attract, you have to mention something which is very catchy. Right? For example, we talk about building this context in the beginning. That you set the context of the essay in the beginning, wherein you attract this reader to read your essay. To attract, what you can do is you can make use of some kind of hook. Hook, if you have heard this term hook. Anyway, anyone knows means what is hook or what do we mean by it? So it actually, we use this term with respect to this digital media nowadays, or in social medias. See, there are so many videos on YouTube, on Instagram, there are reels and all. You observe one thing, those videos get more views which have got something very interesting in the initial 4-5 seconds or 10 seconds. If your reel has initial 2, 3 or 4 seconds, very interesting, something you're saying which is very attractive, the person will watch that reel. Otherwise, he will swipe. Otherwise, he will swipe that reel. He will not even watch. Similar is the thing when it comes to your essay. You need some kind of hook over there. Just like that reel or some kind of trailer, you write something which will anyway attract him, but that doesn't mean writing something irrelevant. Okay, you have to write something related to the stuff. If you're planning to introduce essay by just defining the terminology that is given, that would be one way. Let's say, for example, we have this particular essay quote. Customary morality cannot be guide to modern life. Now, first of all, do you understand what does it mean by this particular essay theme? Customary morality cannot be a guide to modern life. First of all, let me know if you are understanding this theme or not, and then we'll discuss that introduction part. Yes, are you able to comprehend the meaning? Yes or no? Need of progressive social outlook. Okay, good. But if I get into the details, they're talking about, first of all, customary morality. Morality which has got its source in the customs, traditions. That is your customary morality. And it cannot be a guide to modern life. When you talk about modern life, see, think in the logical manner whenever you're looking at any keyword. When you look at modern life, how do you look at modern life? What do you call as modern life? As far as the values of modern life are concerned, compare it with the medieval time and you will understand. Just imagine Indian society in medieval times. What all things do you find as far as value system is concerned, or the social system is concerned? You will find caste system, you will find untouchability, you will find, as far as values are concerned, in medieval times there is no equality, but in modern times we talk about equality. The idea of equality dominates, the idea of human dignity is there, right? Or even if you see India's constitution, Indian constitution includes the values of modern life. Rather, we are trying to make India modern society through our constitution, using our constitution. So you will find idea of liberty also, idea of justice also. So all such values, if you can bring in, if you can think about, a modern life would be one where women will also have the same treatment which men are getting. That's very obvious to understand, that's very obvious to think. Or there won't be any caste hierarchy as such in the modern life. The human dignity will be protected no matter what. Such a modern life is something we can imagine. Now think about this aspect. Customary morality cannot be a guide to modern life. If you want a modern life, you need values, or you need morality which is driven by modern value sets. Obvious. If you are driven by modern value sets, then what you consider as right and wrong, that will come from these values. If you ask me, what do you think about dowry, what do you think about caste system, I'll be answering whether I'm in support or I'm against it, but my morality is driven by this modern value sets, right? But see, if people still hold on to the customary morality, customs, traditions, religious texts, if this is the dominant source of their morality, and they want to lead a modern life, let's say, imagine a state where the state is modern. State, when I'm saying, I'm talking about the constitution. The constitution is trying to establish, or is talking about, modern life, and the society is not modern, or society is traditional. Can you give me any example of any country where you find such combination wherein state is modern and society is not modern, or society is traditional? Any example of any country? Very good. India is the best example. Indian society is a traditional society. You see, when even India got independence, India was a traditional society. If you would have allowed entire society to make rules, then caste system would have been legally protected. Do you understand? If you would have gone for the democratic way of asking everyone, then everyone would have supported caste system, caste hierarchy. There won't be any equality you would see in terms of this traditional system, or traditional morality, or customary morality. right? But if you look at the state in India, or the constitution of India, it is driven by the modern value sets, right? It tries to establish equality even if there is no equality in the society. Now, if India is the best example, think about this line and what can you imagine as an example? If I look at it, I can see that this is a comment made on some recent issues. For example, this triple talaq case or this Sabrimala issue. Can you imagine? Can you just logically think about these issues as soon as you read this particular quote? That if people are driven by customary morality, but they want to lead a modern life, this is not possible. To become modern, to live a modern life, you need value sets which are driven by modern mentality, you can call, or modern morality, you can call. Clear? So now you can understand what this quote is trying to say. Now, if I have to write the normal introduction, one way would be the basic way. In case you have no other option left, what you will do is you will start talking about this customary morality, or you will start talking about modern life, or you can show the relationship between morality and our life. That morality has some role to play in our behavior, in what we think, what we judge as right and wrong, everything. And there you can show these linkages and all. But if I have to make it interesting, if I want to bring in some kind of hook, I'll say the same content, but initially to attract, to make it bit sensational, although sensationalism would not be the right word, but just to attract the reader. How you can write? See, sati was once moral, so was slavery. Sati was once moral, so was slavery, and so was the denial of education to women. When morality is frozen in custom, it often becomes a cage rather than a compass. I repeat, when morality is frozen in custom, it often becomes a cage rather than a compass. As society evolves, so too must its moral framework, one rooted not in blind tradition but in reason, dignity and universal values. Now, still I would not consider this one as the best introduction as such, but just to show you how I can bring in some hook. That's the reason I have mentioned this introduction. The line that I want you to focus on is this. Anyway, if you're writing this essay, you will somewhere talk about sati, you will talk about slavery, you will talk about education of women, you will talk about triple talaq, all those things you will talk about. Not a problem with it. But the point is to attract the reader. How this line has been framed, look at this aspect. Sati was once moral, so was slavery. Or I can reframe it also. That how would you feel if sati is still practiced, if slavery is still practiced, if women are still not given the right to education? Can you imagine this society today in India? See, the words that I'm saying or whatever statement that I'm making right now is the same thing, but for a reader, it looks good. The reader might feel attracted to read your entire essay. So the motive of bringing this hook overall is to just attract the reader, nothing else. Okay, is the first impression that you're trying to build through something, or just twisting the language in a way to make your essay or the introduction part bit interesting, and you're setting the context. See, whatever this line is saying, I said this thing again and again, that in the first page only try to showcase the reader that you have understood this particular theme. And you see, this entire paragraph is anyhow showing that part. Okay? Any doubt on this part? How we are trying to bring in the hook? No? Now, there's another way we can catch the attention in the hook by writing something which is very similar to these media channels, okay, or these news channels. What news channels these people do? They have got a story, they have got something to report, they have an incident that something has happened, someone has, a war is taking place, or some head of state are meeting, so what will happen and all. They are just making their report and everything. But you observe one thing, when they're presenting it in front of camera or they're writing their report, they'll try to give some kind of headline which will attract you, or in the beginning they'll say something which will try to show the picture as being very serious to grab the attention. Now, to grab attention of anyone, when you talk about something serious, people will get attracted. For example, you talk about war, you talk about fight, that's a very good way. So, for example, look at this. Technology is the silent factor in international relations. I hope at least there should not be any doubt on what this theme exactly means. Technology is the silent factor in international relations. What do we mean by silent factor? Or are you getting the meaning? What does the meaning, or what this author is trying to say when he's saying that technology is the silent factor in the international relations? So if you have read the basic part till now about international relations, that there are many factors which play a role in international relations. When you're building your foreign policy, when you're dealing with other countries, there are many things. Even the power play that is taking place, there are many dimensions to that power play. One of that power play, or one of that factor, is technology. Even if it is not discussed much, it remains a silent factor. Now see, here we can start the introduction in this manner, wherein we catch the attention of the reader. Okay, here I'm saying a drone strike can trigger a war. Now this is not something new. This is something from the recent incident that took place between India and Pakistan. So I can think about drones right now, that even if there is a drone attack, a war can start. So a drone strike can trigger a war. A social media post can sway away elections. A cyber attack can paralyze a nation's economy. In the digital age, technology whispers behind closed diplomatic doors and roars on the battlefield. Yet, it rarely features explicitly in treaties or summits. Now, again, I'm not calling this as very perfect introduction, but there is one way of writing a kind of introduction wherein you come up with 3-4 examples to showcase something wrong that is happening. And that's how you can attract the reader. If you can tell the reader in the first line that, see, what a horrible situation is there. This is happening here, this is happening here, this is happening here. Where are you? Similar can be written about, let's say there's an essay which is related to some disaster or something. So you can talk about, let's say, some flash floods, earthquakes, any such incident happening. So you can showcase with multiple examples that will catch the attention. Okay? Are you getting the point that I'm trying to convey? This is the hook. This is how you can catch the attention of a reader by bringing something which you already know. Okay? Through the examples. That's one method. Now, another method is using your quotes. This is something I had discussed earlier a little bit. Now see, as far as quote is concerned, there is one problem that most of the students face. They want to use quote. already they have written their this essay theme which is there. Then they start with a quote, and then they start with their paragraphs. They think that if we write a quote, the other side would get impressed, and that's the reason they are writing it. Don't write it just for the sake of making an impression, but it should match the theme that has been asked over there. If, let's say, what happens, personally what I've observed, let's say there is a theme or a quote. This quote is talking about rights, or let's say it is talking about power. Now the mistake most of the students they are doing is, as soon as they see this word rights in that essay quote, they know that they have a collection of some quotes on this word rights. They'll just put any such quote, no matter what the essay theme is saying, without looking at whether this matches with this essay theme or not. They'll just put it just because this matches. Rights, power, it matches, so they'll just put it. This is not the right way. Okay, even if this keyword matches, even if you have 10 quotes available with you, if it doesn't match with the theme, the core theme of the essay, core message of the author, do not put it over there. It is very unnatural to put it. Even if you're feeling that if I just define the terms and all, that's very boring thing, that's very simple thing, my essay will look very simple. It's fine, let it be simple. Even by writing such a simple essay, still you can score really high. As far as your essay has got that flow and the content is there and it is interesting to read, there won't be any problem. So it's not like by writing a quote, you're going to score high, nothing like that. Okay, yes, if it suits, then it's a good thing. Mostly you can do one more thing. You can use your quotes in between, or let's say at the end. Concluding with a quote is one of the best ways of writing any essay. But to conclude, you should know how to arrange your ideas in a way that you end with that quote. What many students will do again, they will write their entire essay. When it comes to conclusion, abruptly they will mention this particular quote because they remember this quote. Don't do that. It has to come naturally. Okay. Now see, we have this quote: gender equality, myth or reality? Any doubt on this? Is it easy to understand? It's easy, right? Gender equality. We understand what does it mean by gender equality. They're asking, is it a myth or is it a reality? Is it a reality that we have gender equality? Think about it. Or maybe we will have gender equality in upcoming future. That's the reality part again. Or is it a myth? It is just on the paper that we have gender equality. In reality, in spirit, there is no equality as such. This is the question. So essay is very open-ended. They're not expecting anything from you, but just a holistic discussion. But this holistic discussion would demand your perception or your viewpoint. That means in the thesis statement, you'll talk about the myth, why people are calling it myth or why it should be considered a myth. You might talk about why it is a reality, or in future it will be reality, that dimension. But your side should be very clearly visible. It should not happen that you're just discussing this essay on both sides, because if you're calling it myth, you can call it myth, but that I don't suggest personally. Take the ground wherein you show your optimism. People who are calling it myth, that optimism is lacking somewhere. Okay, so come to a balanced part wherein try to remove those contradictions and show, and at the end show the way forward, how we can contribute in this gender equality. Now this is how we can look at the structuring part. Now the question is how to introduce this part. One way, you start talking about gender equality. What is gender equality? Very cliche. Other way is you show some facts from history to the present times. Right? Anyway, for GS, you study many facts. So from history to the present, if you have any fact from present times, let's say any report from which you can show that this is the condition of women and all, to start the discussion, to attract the reader, you can show some horrible data of the present time. That is one way. Or you can show the evolution from historical times to the present times. See what is the condition through which women are going on. The idea of gender equality that is coming in. Are you getting the point? Or if we specifically talk about using some kind of quote and then starting your discussion from that particular quote. So see, here I have one quote. You tell me, is this quote suitable over here or not? Gender equality, myth or reality? Where women are worshipped, there the gods dwell, said in the Rig Veda. These high ideals are the hallmark of status of women in Indian society. But the actual ground situation seems patchy, and this gives rise to the debate whether gender equality is a myth or reality. Now, just look at this quote and tell me, do you think it suits or it doesn't suit? Just give me your judgment. Yes? Yes or no? Where women are worshipped, there the gods dwell. Now I'll tell you my judgment. For me, it's okay. Fine. It's not like it is completely out of context. It is okay. But I would have preferred if you could have gone for some other method instead of coming up with just a quote which is not giving me a great impression as such for this essay. Although this will work. Okay. We'll take another example. The higher we are placed, the more humbly we should walk. Just first try to understand the meaning of the essay. The higher we are placed, the more humbly we should talk. So what do you mean by this essay? What's the meaning? Yes, ability to stand at the top with sense of responsibility. Yes, good. Still, how I would look at it? It's talking about leadership who is supposed to show humility. There is a problem. There's a problem with power hierarchy. Whenever someone goes in the upward direction, moves in the upward direction in terms of power structure, right? His responsibility, what should be his ideal responsibility? To treat who are at the lowest end in the power structure in the most humble manner. That shows that whatever you're saying, the accurate sense of responsibility. That shows the real sense of responsibility. That person is something we can actually look at as a leader, a real leader. A person who in this structure of power is at the lowest. Okay, a very poor person, you don't look at that person with the prism of superiority or inferiority. Rather, you be humble with them. Okay, that's a problem because naturally or because of our some of our basic instincts, we tend to get into power, and after that we start behaving in a different manner. We start considering ourselves as some elites, and that's the reason there is this superiority complex, and people lose that sense of responsibility. People lose that humbleness, humility in the character which is needed. Okay, that is something this essay is talking about, that you should be. I think whatever this essay is saying, this is our conclusion. I told you, while writing the essay, first think about conclusion, where I want to end this essay. Where I want to end this essay. I think this line can actually be my end. That be humble if you're reaching to the higher places, be humble. And throughout the essay, I'll talk about the dimension. What will happen if you do not remain humble? What will go wrong? I'll talk about that dimension. Why you should be humble. I'll talk about all that dimension. So now, here, I can start this particular essay, the introduction part, with a quote, "With great power comes greater responsibility." I'm using this quote over here. You tell me, with your judgment, do you think it suits very well or it doesn't suit much as such? With great power comes great responsibility. Apt, yes. So if you are able to judge others' essays, now this is some other person who has written this. If you're able to judge it, now you can understand on your own that yes, how I have to write and how it will be evaluated. You don't need some other person to tell you that is it good essay or bad essay, is it a good introduction or bad. You can judge it, right? This is the best example that I want you to learn, that use quotes only when they are very aptly or very much suitable. If they are not so suitable, don't use. Don't use. Keep them for the conclusion. Quotes are very good to conclude somewhere. Use it in the middle part somewhere, or somewhere in the paragraphs, wherever you want to use. If they set in the natural tone, go for it. But if it is like this, only use it in the beginning. Otherwise, simply remove that quote. Don't artificially or by pushing it, do not add it. Now, how this person has written. With great power comes great responsibility. One who is at the top of hierarchy, one who enjoys power, is a source of inspiration for many. He is seen as an ideal. Hence, his responsibility towards society increases. Though each should have the virtue of humility, humility is the most important aspect of a leader. He cannot have high-headedness and a sense of arrogance and prejudice. It is true that power corrupts. See, he got one more quote over here. It is true that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Hence, to remain humble, one must avoid ignorance. He should make knowledge a real virtue. An ignorant, corrupt leader makes the society regressive. The importance of real knowledge was recognized by ancient philosophers like Plato, who wanted a philosopher king. A king who has access to real knowledge and who does not consider the materialistic world as reality. Now, as far as I read this particular introduction, it looks good, it looks very apt, very well said what the person wants to say, and most importantly, the one advice which I am trying to give you again and again, that in the first paragraph, if you can show this reader that you understood, that's the best thing, which is very aptly done over here, right? If I have to say, in the first 3-4 lines, this person has clearly shown the examiner that I have understood everything about this essay. And from this part, I can anyway understand what must have been written in this entire essay, right? So, this should be your ideal thought while writing the introduction through quotes, using quotes. Fine? Any doubt on this? No? Okay. Now, there is another way wherein we can show some kind of debate. See, one way is, there is a debate in the society about something. If you can show that debate, even that debate attracts the reader in the beginning, in the introduction. So, for example, we have this essay theme called, "The end of law is not to abolish or restrain, but to preserve and enlarge freedom." The end of law, end means its purpose. The purpose of law is not to abolish or restrain freedom. It doesn't want to completely abolish your freedom as such, or it doesn't want to restrain your freedom. Rather, it wants to preserve and enlarge freedom. Easy to understand, very much driven by your polity and constitution, right? Now see, here this person is showing a debate. There's a lot of debate going around the proposed triple talaq law. Critics claim that it is abolitionary in nature and restricts freedom of minorities. You see, you're taking a stand. First of all, think this aspect. Many students, they don't take any stand in the essay writing. That's a problem with students. Because why they don't take stand? Because there is some fear in the mind that if I take this stand, what will happen? Other side will take it negatively. Don't think much about it. As long as your thought, your whatever stand you're taking, for that you must have thought, and that thought is based on the ideas, and you're reading this static part, you're reading current affairs, you're building your view. As far as your view is balanced enough and for your view you have got arguments, there's no problem. Take a stand. Okay, even on controversial issues, no problem. You can take a stand. There's no issue. But you must have good arguments with you. Okay, and don't ever misjudge things in a way wherein if you have the arguments of other side, don't say no to those arguments. Accept that yes, these are the problems. I have to accept it. Okay. Now, what this person is saying. There's a lot of debate going around the proposed triple talaq law. Critics claim that it is abolitionary in nature and restricts freedom of minorities. However, they fail to understand that abolition of triple talaq is just a means. The real end is to preserve and enlarge the freedom of Muslim women. It is to liberate them from the clutches of a highly restrictive and patriarchal setup, which condemns them to a status of second-class citizen. Hence, the ultimate aim of the law is not to restrain, but to liberate. See, again, first para, what this person is showing, look at these aspects which as an evaluator I can judge. First of all, I can see his stand, I can see his values, what kind of values he holds to. This gender justice is something he prioritizes. Gender justice is something this person prioritizes over the rights. Which rights? This rights under this personal law or the religious rights. This is a conflicting thing. Now, you must have read the Supreme Court judgment. Even Supreme Court gives importance to gender justice over these fundamental rights. Right? So, what's wrong in taking that stand? Even if it is very controversial, take that stand, no problem. Supreme Court is also taking. Why can't you take it? Fine. So, I got this firm stand. I find this person as a brave person, courageous person who is taking stand. His values, I am getting that he cares about the vulnerable population. So, those values are very clear. That compassionate nature is very clear. That is visible. And most importantly, as far as the writing part is concerned, with the first line, this person has attracted the reader. There's a lot of debate going around proposed triple talaq law. Yes. So you're bringing the entire conversation towards a debate or a debatable issue. That is one way. That is one way. Now here what you can do is, you can talk about one side and then in the next line you can talk about the second line, which this person has very well done. Okay, that sets the context very well and that is very interesting to read. Fine. We'll read the remaining part also, how it looks. So, where he ended, this, it is to liberate them from the clutches of highly restrictive and patriarchal setup, which condemns them to a status of second-class citizen. Hence, the ultimate aim of the law is not to restrain, but to liberate. When great philosophers like Rousseau and Hobbes studied how the concept of law itself was created by man, they were surprised that in the prehistoric times, when there were no laws, man was not at all free. Why so? Because He was in constant fear of being attacked by another man and thus was in hiding. Now here, instead of Rousseau, this person should have just mentioned about Hobbes. So this is something he needs to correct. Okay. Do you observe one thing? One thing over here. This line he claimed, he moved on to the next paragraph, but there is a very good flow. This person is telling a story to a new student. Think about this. While writing the essay, to bring flow, many students have this problem. Sir, we don't know, sir, how to bring flow. Everyone says that there is no flow in my essay. Flow will come when you imagine, when you think yourself as teaching a particular topic to someone, or let's say there's a child in front of you, you have to narrate a complete story to this child. If it is not in flow, if you're breaking the flow, the child will not find it interesting, or he will not understand what you're trying to say. So the story should go on. Here, suddenly he started with, when great philosophers, he didn't say philosophers like Rousseau talked about this. When great philosophers like Hobbes studied this concept of law. So he brought the entire issue to these philosophers, or this idea of state of nature and all. But this flow is maintained very well. Okay. So see, thus a man who was selfish yet rational entered into a social contract with others. This way, a system of law and state was created. They did restrict some activities like violence, but they succeeded in creating a society where man was free from fear, free to live, pursue his objectives and to grow and develop. Okay. If you ask me if I have to give marks to such a student for the flow that he has maintained, very good marks. For the introduction that he has written, very good marks. I don't have any doubt about it. Okay. Some corrections can be made, but these are very minor corrections. Even an evaluator will not think much about it, because the content has been arranged in a very good flow. Getting the point? Any doubt on this? Showing debate part. Yes? Oh, sorry, not showing debate. This particular essay part. Now the next one. Another way of building this context of this essay in the introduction is to make use of current affairs. If you remember in the last lecture, when I discussed that essay called Not All Who Wander Are Lost, one introduction I suggested that you can write the story or anecdote. For example, I talked about this Sindhu Tai Sapkar. Her story is very good to write there. And I give another example of India's foreign policy, which suits aptly over here. So both ways we could have gone, no problem. Now current affairs, anyway you're reading, there are many events that are happening, many reports that are coming up. Anyway you're reading about those reports in your GS papers. So there's nothing special you're going to study over here. But those reports or that incident, if you can write down that incident, that's really well. But you have to write down in the same manner in which these news reporters do. You watch news reporters, or you know, whenever they are reporting the news, they'll say things in a manner which will attract you. There will be a narration. They'll not tell you what they want to say in the beginning. That they'll say after 10-15 minutes. But initially, they'll start making some sensation. Now, let's say there's a report. There is a report that you have read, some international NGO or something, and that report has, let's say, criticized India. Let's say there's a report which might say that in India there is no freedom of religion, there is press freedom is not there, or something. India has been put at the lowest, or they are calling Indian cities as the world capital for rapes. All such reports. In case if your essay is related to that And if you can talk about that particular report, according to this international report, this is the case. You have attracted the reader, right? Or in case there is any statement made by you in chief or any person which it seems that will attract the attention of the reader, you mention the statement directly. Okay, then lead your essay. Mention the statement, even if you agree with it, don't agree with it, no problem. You mentioned, you attracted, and you brought the story to your point. The purpose of introduction is not to teach the reader this entire theme, but to just attract him and bring him on the table to read the remaining essay. Okay, mostly when you're writing this introduction, there's one question on the length. What do you think? How lengthy should be introduction? 1 page, 2 page, 3 page? How long can you write introduction? How long you will go with the introduction part, and then you will enter into the body part? How many pages? Or how many words, if you want to tell? Yes? How lengthy the introduction can be? Or how lengthy are you writing right now when you're writing introduction? See, you're dividing the essay into introduction, body, conclusion. Basically, this is the format we think about. So I'm asking, how long will you take in just introducing this essay, and when are you going to enter into the body part? 1 page in 2-3 paragraphs? Okay, very well. If you're able to do this in just 1 page, that's very well. That's very good. See, the number of pages you're writing somewhere around 1200 words, 1000 to 1200. There is no limit as such that you have to write 1200 only. It can be in between 1000 to 1200. That's not a problem for the reader. As far as the essay looks good, he'll not deduct your marks just because you have not filled the entire space. There's nothing like that. Now, if you can see, if 1200 words, these many words I have to write, out of that, most of the chunk will be your body part. That's the core thing. Introduction and conclusion is just the thing wherein we are either attracting the reader or just leaving him back in his world. So here, you take 100 to 150 words at max, 1 page to 2 pages max. On second page, with not even complete second page, I'll say, in case the introduction gets extended, don't let it extend more than the second page. In the second page, your body part should start. Try to do this. Okay, if you can do this on the first page, way better, no problem. You can't decide how many paragraphs will be there. That will come in flow. Okay, but certainly try to make those short paragraphs instead of very lengthy paragraphs. Try to keep them short as much as possible. Fine. Now, so we're talking about using current affairs to start your essay, to introduce. So see this, thinking is like a game. Thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. First of all, are you able to understand? Thinking is like a game. Okay, they're talking about thinking. Logically, I'm just taking out keywords. Thinking is a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. So they're saying, you will not think if there is no opposite thing. That means an opposite thought, that contradictory thought. Unless there are contradictions, you will not think. And this thinking will then give you some kind of synthesis. We talked about thesis, antithesis, synthesis, right? If there is no opposite thought, why will you think? You will not think. You will consider whatever you think as the right thing. So you will not put pressure on your mind to, put energy on thinking. That's possible only when there is an opposite team, an opposite idea, something. Now, one of the way to start this essay using our understanding of current affairs. See, when the farmers protested on Delhi's borders, or when students questioned state laws, it wasn't chaos. It was democracy thinking aloud. Those tents on the highways, those slogans in the rain, they were not signs of breakdown, but of belief. Belief that a citizen matters, that disagreement is not disloyalty. In a truly thinking society, the opposite team is not an enemy, it is a necessity. Okay, initially when I was reading, I thought that this student must have got deviated from the topic, because it seems he's talking about democracy, the dissent and all. But he brought the statement over here anyhow, that opposite team is not an enemy. So he has linked this idea of thinking with the idea of democracy in a decent manner. In a very decent manner. No problem with this. Okay. So farmer protest, student protesting, some or the other protest, it keeps on happening in India or any other country. Those are good examples for you to use. Somehow he's grabbing the attention through these examples. Or there would be another way, wherein any event which has taken place, you talk about that event in detail. Let's say this farmer protesting. You talk about that incident in detail if it suits in your essay as introduction. So you talk about this. So many farmers gathered on this particular day. Many students use this method, which looks very good. Let's say on 31st January. Thousands of students gathered in Delhi at this place, whatever you want to put, Jantar Mantar, let's say. Everyone was looking at the Raj Bhavan with a ray of hope that their voice will be heard. See, I'm just making a story. I know what has happened. It's just one line. They were protesting, simple. But the way of saying with this linguistic skill, I'm just elaborating the incident and grabbing your attention. They were angry. They were looking, but they were having some kind of hope in their mind. They were angry, but they were not violent. You can start introduction like this. Okay? That's how you elaborate a particular event that has happened. Or you can talk about any fictional event also. Any fictional, it's not necessarily something that has happened, you have to talk about that. But mostly what will happen, you will get such examples easily, because you keep on reading current affairs during your preparation, so you'll get such examples very easily while brainstorming. Clear? Any doubt on this? No? Another example. Water everywhere, not a drop to think. Very nice essay. Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. Do you understand the meaning? Water everywhere. Water is everywhere, but not a drop to drink. That means, although there is so much water available on this planet or everywhere, abundant water is available, but it is not there to drink. As far as people need water to drink, we don't see water available. There is scarcity in some regions. Now, to introduce, we know some incidents happening in many Indian cities. This what we call as 0R, especially with respect to Chennai, Bangalore. We get this news many a times about 0R incident, wherein there is no water. There is no drinking water available in the city. You can describe such event just the way a news reporter would have done. Or here, what this person has done. The city of Chennai faced one of the worst droughts in the country, such that water had to be transported by rail. Water had to be transported by rail. So, as soon as I have read this much, I've got interested in reading this essay, I'm telling you. I've got interested in reading this essay just by reading this one single line. I repeat, the city of Chennai faced one of the worst droughts in the country, such that water had to be transported by rail, virtually bringing the city to a standstill, despite being a coastal city situated close to the sea. Now, there's just one problem I have with all these statements is, it's a good introduction. Just the statements which are written, they are a bit lengthy. Okay. if you can write the same thing but with shorter statements, if your sentences are shorter, it becomes easy to comprehend. When it is very lengthy, because see, continuously you're talking since here and your statement actually ended here, so there is a possibility it becomes a bit complex for the reader to comprehend. Okay, as far as content is concerned, it's very good. I liked it. Personally, I liked it. Now, the same city was devastated by floods about 3 years ago. At the same time, parts of Maharashtra like Sangli, Satara, parts of Vidarbha are battling with serious flooding. These are the same regions where more than 95,000 farmers have committed suicides in the last 10 years due to drought. Isn't it a paradox that the same places are facing both the problems simultaneously? Water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. I'm going to give this person really good score for doing one interesting thing, that he somehow brought the same quote in the essay, that too without any extra effort. In the flow he brought it. Okay, this requires efforts, this requires practice. What many students will do, they will bring it in the conclusion sometimes. Okay, or there is something called your first and last line, both are same, but to do this you need practice. Okay, to do this you need lot of practice. You have to read some content also, and you have to write a lot. With practice you will reach to the stage wherein you will learn that art of writing, wherein you can mold the essay in such a way you will reach here. And this person has reached to this particular point. Okay, isn't it a paradox that the same places are facing both the problems simultaneously? Water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. Very good. Okay, a very good introduction. Are you getting the point? The purpose of showing all these introductions to you is for you to understand how you can also come up with such introductions. It's not very tough as such. He's just explained that in Chennai this happened, 3 years back also this happened. Anyone is reading things in current affairs, we all know what is happening, right? Any doubt about using current affairs in the introduction? Any doubt about this particular part? No? Okay, very good. Now, there's one more way. What we can do is we can start some kind of thought-provoking questions. We can write down some questions which when reader will read those questions, he will think about it and he wants answer. That answer will be provided in the body part. In the introduction, you've just asked some questions to set the context. For example, you see, life is a long journey between human being and being human. First of all, do you understand what the essay says? What is the meaning? Life is a long journey between human being and being human. What do you understand by these two terms? Yes, tell me the difference. Being human and human being. Human with values like respect for dignity, etc. is human. So this is what you're saying when it comes to being human. I can simply say human being is what we all are. Describing the thing. Descriptive. In ethics, we talk about the branches of ethics. One is descriptive ethics. We describe what is ethics in practice, what is happening without judging it. So human beings is what we all are. The descriptional part. This is being human means what we all are supposed to become, what we are ought to. right? Being human or being humane. So you're right when you talk about the values part or showing that compassion and all. That's the nature of human beings. When you say become a human being, behave like a human, so that's the part you're saying, that what you are supposed to do. Now, if we come back, life is a long journey between this and this. Human being is something which you are born as. By birth you're this, and with time you try to become this. This is the struggle of life, in which you're continuously learning all these values. You try to become this good human being, is what we see here. Now the point is how we can bring in some questions. In the introduction, the first line will start with some kind of questions. You see, this person has written, what separates us from animals? What separates us from animals? Is it intellect or empathy? Very good question. I'm interested. See, as soon as I've read these two questions, I'm interested. I repeat, what separates us from animals? Or instead of us, you can write, what separates human beings from animals? Is it our intellect or our empathy? We are all born human, but not all of us learn how to be humane. Is success enough if kindness is absent? As we move through life, how many of us pause to reflect on the kind of people we are becoming? This essay is a reflection on that journey. Slow, personal, and often invisible, from being human to becoming truly human. Except this one line, success line, I find rest all the stuff as really good. Okay, there's a flow. This person has simply asked some questions. He did not talk about anything as such. He did not tell anything, but he brought what the essay is trying to say, and he set the context with those questions. Okay, and he has written, this essay is a reflection of this part. So even you have talked about the scope of this essay. This is one thing many students will do. It is not necessary. See, if you do this, good. Even if you don't do this, good, no problem. If you want to set the scope wherein what all will be covered in your essay, if you want to add this line which tells very clearly that what all we are going to cover in this essay, that's very much up to you. If you bring it, it looks very much structured. Even if you don't bring it, but the essay is in flow, no problem. Okay, so here this person has done that too in a very well manner. This essay is a reflection on that journey. Okay, that journey, slow, personal, and often invisible, from being human and becoming truly human. So overall, he has got the crux, and he made few questions for the reader to think about. The reader now very clearly knows that I am going to get all the answers in the essay. Clear? Easy, very easy, stating some kind of questions or some thought-provoking questions. Now, the last option, in case you do not have any other option, then you lastly go for defining that keyword or explaining that keyword, which is the base of the essay. Okay, in the last lecture when I discussed this essay, Not All Who Wander Are Lost, I said that one way would be start with the process of wandering, because wander, this keyword, is the most important keyword in that essay. So in case you're not able to grab any good quote, any good anecdote, any good story, any good current event, nothing, in that case you have this option of going in with the flow, logically going with the flow, logically just defining or explaining the term you have, or in case you can build a story around that word, that would also work. Okay, so for example, judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. Judge a man by his questions rather than by his answers. Now, what this person has written: questions are the reflections of human ingenuity and creativity. What he simply took, because entire essay is dependent on questions. So he just started his essay with that question part. So he's just defining or explaining it. Questions are the reflections of human ingenuity and creativity. They show the capacity of the human mind to break the barriers and limits of information, venturing out into the deep unknown. Venturing out in the deep unknown. When man feels empty in that vastness, feeling entirely new, he begins to ask questions. Questions are like a torch of fire to search for the truth that is unknown. Good. Now this person has got some natural linguistic skills, because of which he is able to write in a bit flowery language. Even if you write in very simple language, that would still work and you will still score really well. Okay. My point is defining or explaining the keywords in case you're left with no other choice. Okay. Sometimes even that looks better than any other method. Getting the point? Yes. Any doubt on this? You must get doubts. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, so sir, in essay, how to decide which is most apt way of introduction? There's no most apt way as such, but if you still want to know which introduction is better introduction, then I can say, first thing, if you are showing the crux or you're writing something completely related to the theme, I assume you're not writing something irrelevant. If it is relevant but we have to decide which one is better, then everything is about this feel good factor. If it makes you feel really good by reading, then that's the most apt or best way to write introduction. You see, while reading some editorials or some books, this happens many a times with us, that we read one paragraph or we read one line and we felt like, wow, maza aa gaya. When you feel that feel good factor is there in your introduction, that's the best introduction as far as it is relevant. Okay, I assume it is relevant. That's the most apt way. And when you were discussing way of questions, I got disconnected, so we'll use those questions in intro, which will be subheading. Okay, if you're talking about this part, are you talking about these thought-provoking questions which I discussed? Yes, okay. So it's not necessary that you will be using these questions as your subheadings. It can be or it can not. It is not necessary. You can make them subheadings if your plan is to arrange your entire essay, structure it in that manner. Okay, your choice. Nobody is going to stop. And in case you don't want to, but somehow you want to answer all these things, because these questions are just for bringing that curiosity in the mind of reader so that he reads. I'll show you again over here. The theme was life is long journey between human being and being human. What we are talking, what separates us from animals? Is it intellect or empathy? We all are born human, but not all of us learn how to be human. Is success enough if kindness is absent? As we move through life, how many of us pause to reflect on the kind of people we are becoming? So it might be possible that you might not make these questions as your subheadings. It will become quite difficult for you. But rather, your essay anyway answers all these questions. Okay, so the reason we talked about these thought-provoking questions, just to attract this reader, bring some curiosity in his mind. So many YouTubers do this thing in their reels or in their videos. They do this, just focus on, are you this person? Then you should watch this video. Are you this person? Here they will say something. Are you a depressed person? then you should watch my masterclass of 3 hours. This kind of videos are very normal on YouTube. When you question, you set some kind of context in the mind of that person and you grab the attention. So this is one way we are doing it. Got it? Yes, one more thing, ask. In intro, we have to just explain the given topics or agree it right. See, it depends on the theme. If the essay theme is negative, why would you agree with it? Use your brain, use your own mind. Okay, more or less, there will be essays of this kind. Like, this is a positive statement, this is right statement, nothing to argue completely against it, right? So, whether you want to agree, whether you don't want to agree, that's your choice. That's why I told you what is your conclusion, think about it. There is thesis statement, there is antithesis statement. What you do is you try to bring both, then you remove the problematic part. If you want to go ahead with thesis statement, whatever contradiction this one is bringing, you'll try to remove that. So somehow you reach to a final conclusion. When it is in mind, even that will be reflected in introduction. You'll take that stand. You will take that stand. Okay. Did I answer your query or need some more explanation? Okay, good. Now, moving ahead. Defining part we have dealt with. Okay, we have one more example about this defining or explaining keywords. Fighting corruption is not just good governance, but also self-defense and patriotism. Fighting corruption is not just good governance, but also self-defense and patriotism. Now, core theme is corruption. Start the essay with corruption. That's easier way. Just define it or set a context around corruption. Tell us a story about corruption. So, for example, corruption has been prevalent in Indian society since ancient times. Chanakya, a great ancient scholar, wrote extensively on the issue of corruption. He recognized corruption as the root cause of the downfall of any empire. Even instead of Chanakya, you can even talk about Aristotle. Even he talked about this thing. Okay, similar thing. He emphasized on a rule, not even Plato also. Sorry, I forgot. Not Aristotle, it was Plato. Now, he emphasized on a rule-based society where corrupt should be effectively punished and should not be let off at any cost. However, Indian society did not see much reform. Father of nation, M.K. Gandhi, preached simple living based on needs and not acting on greed. Even Rajiv Gandhi famously said that only a small portion of government provided benefit reaches common man, rest is collected by corrupts. Then this person even talks about a report. In recent Transparency International report, India was among the worst countries in terms of corruption. See, this person has not mentioned the exact data as such. If you can mention exact data, it will look better. But maybe the person could not remember the data as such. Still, he built a good story. Okay, he built a good story around corruption. No quote is there, nothing from current affairs. If I remove this transparency part, then nothing from even current affairs. It's just a story built up by or around the keyword to explain it. Okay, so this is very good way. Now, next is one of my favorite, that is writing a story or an anecdote. I personally feel that will be very good to write. First thing, it's very easy to write any story. If it is a real story, like an anecdote, a very short story, real incident that has happened, that is also very good. And anyway, for the exam preparation, you read about such stories as case studies, you know, for writing answers for polity, IR, or even not IR, for what we call governance part, society, social justice part. There you will read many case studies which you will, you will be using in your answers across the papers. Use it here also. See, this is the smartness. You read one story, You read one case study, you found it very good, a very good example related to governance or leadership or something. Now use it across all the papers, from this essay paper till this GS4, everywhere use it, no problem. Anyway, the same evaluator is not going to check all the copies, right? So use it. Now see, here we have an essay. In struggling with misfortune lies the true proof of virtue. In struggling with misfortune lies the true proof of virtue. Okay, when you're struggling with misfortune, something very bad happening to you, or your circumstances are not really good. When you are facing some bad circumstances or you don't have enough resources, such a condition is there. That is misfortune thing. When you're struggling with misfortune lies the true proof of virtue. A person can show his real virtue when there is struggle because of some kind of disaster, some kind of whatever you needed, you don't have those things available with you. In that case, you can actually showcase your real virtues. Now, what this person has tried to write. So, here is a case from Maharashtra. So, Hivre Bazar, a small village in the Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra, was infamous for the droughts, poverty and underdevelopment. Very good line. So it's a story. It's a story just like you must have been reading in childhood. Story. Hivre Bazar, a small village in Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra, was infamous for droughts, poverty and underdevelopment. One might say that this is the case with majority of Indian villages, as half of Indian agriculture is dependent on monsoon, with lack of capacity to come out of vicious cycle of underdevelopment. Now, written in a very good manner, there is a very good flow in this story. I am still finding this story interesting. Only just one problem I found, bit lengthy statements. If this person could improve on this one aspect, he will score really high marks. Okay, still, even if these sentences are very lengthy, I am still finding it interesting to read. That's more important. Okay. Now, however, with a new Sarpanch named Popatrao Pawar, his endeavors of planning and scientific implementation of rainwater harvesting, changing cropping patterns and inclusive development approach has brought a new ray of hope for the world to see. See what he is doing. He's talking about a very small village in a small district of our state, a small village, and he's using this word which I personally liked, the world to see. He wants entire world to see this example. So let's read, we'll also know what he's talking about. Is it so important that the entire world should see? Hivre Bazar is presently home for the highest per capita income village in the country, showing a dramatic struggle against the misfortune of monsoon as well as governance deficit since years. Above story is a case study for every individual as to how misfortune can be put aside by struggling against the bhagya or seeming and accepted norm or reality. Popatrao's virtuous act shows how an individual can, instead of sitting idle and blaming the misfortune, take some action in the hope of change. If you look at the entire, okay, this is the body part which is starting. So this person has taken almost 2 pages to introduce his case, to bring this misfortune part, virtue part, and he has got just one case study. He must have read somewhere. As far as I think, this person must have got some kind of award. And he's talking about a village which was suffering from drought, poverty and underdevelopment since many years. There came a Sarpanch. He's an educated Sarpanch and he decided to make things different. So he brought what he did, implemented rainwater harvesting, changed cropping patterns, some inclusive development approach, something he did. One man led thing. You just think about this idea that because of this, now it is highest per capita income village in India. Now this person did not have the data to quote, so he did not quote it. If you have, quote it. If you don't have, fine. I'm still finding it interesting to read. And here he is calling this person who is Popatrao Pawar. as a virtuous person. Virtuous, he's showing his virtues when there is misfortune. Which misfortune? That this village was suffering from droughts. There is problem with the monsoon. There is no governance since years. So still he fought against it. That he has shown in a very good manner. What do you think? Are you going to give him good score or not? Just as a layman, just as anyone. As far as introduction is concerned, we have not yet entered into that body part and all. Is it a good intro, bad intro, or average intro? What do you think? Your judgment. Good intro. Now, I don't think I need to tell you whether an introduction is good or bad, apt or not. You have that capability. You have that base of judgment. Okay, so don't rely on anyone to get that. Use your reason, your understanding. If you're feeling good, if you were interested in reading this much part, that means you will read the remaining part. Okay, very good. Good example. Now, apart from this, some other examples if I have to take. This one. The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. Okay, first of all, can you understand the meaning of this quote? Yes or no? The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. Just are you able to comprehend the meaning of this particular quote? The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. Very basic. Very basic. We talk about equality, inequality, and we talk about this idea that equals should be treated in an equal manner. Unequals should not be treated in an equal manner. There's a problem. So we talked about that idea of equity in ethics, right? So there we said that if those individuals who are not equal, one is a child, one is an adult person, you can't treat them in the same manner. If you treat them in the same manner, you're doing injustice, right? So the worst form of inequality is to make unequal things equal if you're doing it. Now see how this person introduces it. Devi hasn't been able to clear the medical exam. Okay, he's talking about a person. Whether it's a real story or not, doesn't matter. Devi has not been able to clear the medical exam. She worked hard and also desperately wanted a medical seat to fulfill her Amma's dream of seeing her as a doctor. She comes from a Dalit hamlet and many of her upper caste batchmates have made it to the list. So what went wrong with Devi? Perhaps she was meant to sit on equal pedestal in the exam, citing merit, and her years of undernourishment, lack of good education, discrimination faced in accessing basic services like water from the Commonwealth, etc., have been casually brushed under the carpet under the garb of merit. This system of social Darwinism has tried to make unequal things equal, resulting in the worst form of inequality. But what is inequality? Now, very interesting. Now, this person, it seems this person has been reading sociology. That's why some terminologies. This person is having very clear thought that merit cannot always be the right thing. This person is showing this perspective very clearly. And with this story, why this story? It's not necessary you write the same story, you write any story, but the story should bring the same element which is present in the essay. Essay is talking about inequality. You have shown inequality to the person. So it's like, instead of reading about something, you ask this person to visualize the scenario. When you visualize, you start feeling. Okay, so to visualize, you give this story, which is a very good way of grabbing the attention of any reader. Okay, easy. This is very easy. Even this story which we discussed earlier, this Hivre Bazaar, that was also very good. This one also is very good. Okay, or let's look at another one. This one is very easy. Now you'll get the confidence that this is very easy to write. Is our higher education system future ready? First of all, they're talking about higher education and not education. So don't write your essay on just education. You're missing the point. They're talking about our higher education system. Is it future ready? Future ready as in they're looking at what kind of changes that are taking place in industries, in the market, what is the need of the hour, and is our higher education system ready for it? Let's say we need engineers to work in the artificial intelligence now. Is our higher education producing that? Is it able to provide that knowledge base? Are they in a position? So you can think in that manner. Now, look at the story that has been built over here. Rahul is doing his graduation in mechanical engineering from a reputed college. His syllabus consists of things and technologies of the past like basic motor, conductor, etc. His sole focus during his college days was to mug up the notes and pass the exams. He's talking about the reality. Everyone knows this thing. And if this person has built his story over here, it's looking very good. I'm finding it interesting to read. I can relate. His sole focus during his college days was to mug up the notes and pass the exams. Consequently, after graduation, he could not find any job because he lacked the necessary skills to manage modern machines. The problem is that there are millions of Rahuls in India. Very good statement. Showing the unemployment in India, especially among the engineers. The problem is there are millions of Rahuls in India who are unemployed because they are not employable. This is because our higher education system as of now is not future ready. You see, thesis statement, you could have supported that it is ready and you could have said not ready. Up to you, it is up to your knowledge base, your understanding, your wisdom. This person has taken the stand, sir, it is not ready. This is reality also. We have to accept the reality. It is not ready. We have to work way hard. We need more funding. We need more reforms in our higher education system for it to become actually future ready. There are some colleges who are taking some steps wherein in engineering colleges, they are starting some courses on artificial intelligence and all. But there are many colleges, they are still running syllabus of age old. 30, 40 years back that syllabus was relevant. Now it is not. Now if you teach C and C++, it makes no sense. Makes no sense. Fine. Obviously, it should be taught. I'm not saying don't teach that, but at least teach what is needed in the industry. Now see, this person has shown this story very well. Is it something new? Do you think he has come up with something very new? He read from some very good notes? Nothing like that. This is a basic observation. Most probably this person is an engineer. He faced all this thing and he has written his story. Okay. Now, in this essay, we'll discuss what the future is going to be like. That is what it demands from our higher education system. Then we will analyze how at present our system is incapable of delivering the demands of the future. And finally, we'll look at certain solutions to make ourselves future ready. Let us begin. Now, this is the part. This was your introduction actually. This is the part where you have shown all your scope of writing. Okay. This is something I suggest. If it is in flow, you can write it. Okay. If you don't write it, it is also fine. No problem. Okay. Cool. How is this introduction as per your judgment? Good, very good, average, bad, worse. Very good. Yes, very good. Very simple. First of all, I did not find any flowery language as such. Very simple language. The message has been conveyed very effectively. Whatever this person wanted to say, he said it in a very clear manner. There are no datas. There is nothing as such which we call as that value addition part and all. It's just simplicity, which seems very good over here. Okay. he'll get good scores for this. Now, as far as that this part is concerned, which I'm calling it as scope part. Okay, if you want to write, you can write it. While writing, try to ensure that don't tell everything that you are anyway going to tell in the body part. So just like movies have got some trailers, so in trailers they don't show everything, but they show something which will make you interested enough to watch the entire movie. So in this part wherein you're just telling that in this essay I'm going to discuss this, yes, just touch it and leave it. Don't tell everything over there. It should be like a movie trailer, a broad outline, nothing much, nothing more than that. Don't reveal your main content over there. Okay, done. Okay, now we'll discuss one essay. There's this quote called as, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. It's easy, but you should have content. And I've observed personally, UPSC is very much interested in this term happiness. They're asking this kind of quote in ethics paper. They're asking this kind of quote in essay paper. So we can sense they are interested. Now, first of all, what do you understand? What do you understand by this theme? There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. So it is about the journey and the destination. The writer is trying to say, you people have a mindset that happiness is a destination. While by doing something, you will get happiness at the end of it. That's the destination. Whereas writer is saying, this is a wrong understanding. You are very ignorant. Happiness is part of the journey. It's the path. You have to be happy. You have to be happy. Happiness in itself is a path. Whether you want to become successful, they see the difference. Some people feel that if I become successful, if I clear this exam, if I become this, if I become celebrity, that is the destination part. If I become this, here I'll get happiness. Writer is saying that nothing is going to happen as such. Even if you reach to that destination, you're not going to get happiness. Happiness is the path. It's the journey. It's the process which is happiness. Okay. So we understand what the writer is saying. At least we understand the theme. So common misbelief is, once I achieve something, I'll be happy. And correct understanding is, the process itself is about happiness. Now when you're trying to introduce this essay, you can build a story. Here, how I've tried to make it. We live in a world where everyone seems to be chasing happiness. A very general statement. Maybe I was not getting any quote, anything as such. So I'm just making a general statement. And anyway, because this statement also applies universally, the statement is made for everyone, that happiness is the path. This statement wants you to evaluate your actions. Think, just sit and think about your actions. What are you doing? You have to be happy. That's what this statement is trying to say. Okay, it is trying to motivate you. It wants you to deeply reflect upon your thoughts and actions and change yourself. Rather than waiting for happiness to come after some time, be happy right now. So this quote is actually very motivational. And I expect your essay should also be very motivational, very optimistic, showing the reader. At the end, you should say something through which you motivate the reader. After reading your essay, that person should reflect upon his life and he should start being happy instead of waiting for that good time to come when he'll be happy. Okay. So I think I can write a very good essay on this if I have to write the exam. I'll motivate the evaluator. Now, in the introduction, we are saying we live in a world where everyone seems to be chasing happiness. We plan our careers, we accumulate wealth, we achieve fame, we win rewards, all in the hope that happiness will follow. But isn't it strange that the more we chase happiness as a distant goal, the more it seems to slip through our fingers? even after achieving success, wealth, fame, a strange emptiness often remains. Very good line. A strange emptiness often remains. Now, by saying this, you have already agreed with the writer. With reason. You're saying that we have achieved all these things, but even after achieving that, you feel like I don't have anything. See, there was a video of Hrithik Roshan saying that I was told that you become an actor and all, and I used to think that once I become a celebrity, a big actor, I'll be very successful, I'll be very happy. He said after that I didn't feel anything new as such. Nothing changed in life. I didn't feel happy as such. I didn't feel the success as such. The point is, even after reaching, he has written in a very good manner, even after achieving success, wealth, fame, a strange emptiness often remains. That emptiness forces us to question, was happiness ever at the end of the road, or was it meant to be part of the journey all along? It is this very dilemma that the statement, there is no path to happiness, happiness is the path, urges us to confront. Although I found this line as a bit complicated to read as a reader, but this much part is a very good introduction, don't you think? Are you finding it interesting to read? So neither this person has used any quote nor any story, anecdote, no efforts. On the spot he has written this essay. This is very much clear. On the spot it has been written. Yes? So good one, we like it. Now as you observe these things, first he started with the general understanding, then he showed where things have gone to the worst side or bad side, and then he started showing the reason to reach to the conclusion. This is a very good way to build any narration. You talk about what is generally happening. Generally, people are happy or people are seeking happiness. You made one general statement. Then you show where it is leading to the bad side. This general means everyone is going on the wrong track. Then you talk why it is wrong, or when you're talking about the wrong side, you mention why this is happening. And then you reach to the solution part or conclusion part or to this part. Even the entire essay also will be structured in somewhat in the same manner, the manner in which this person has written his introduction. Yes? Are you getting the flow in the essay? Now for more content in this if you want. So, meaning of happiness. Now this is, I'm not just saying that you are supposed to use it in this essay only, but because happiness as a theme gets repeated multiple times, and even if it is not repeated, somewhere this content will be very useful for you. So I want you to just read this part. Meaning of happiness actually is not same for everyone. It differs from people to people, and sometimes the meaning of happiness differs even for the same person in different times. So for example, if you are a very materialistic person, for you what is happiness? You look at material possessions, wealth, money, luxurious items, comfortable items, all these things. You look at those things in the form of happiness. When you look at some family-oriented individuals, they give importance to family. So if they are spending quality time with family members, if they are creating some quality memories, for them, they are getting happiness from this part. Okay. If you look at people who are very career-driven, they want to become IAS officer, doctor, something. So for these people, this professional success, see, this is very limited success. This is just professional success. More or less, when we talk about success, we think about this success only. All these are successes. For this person, reaching to that career end, that career zenith, that's where he feels or she feels as the happiness lies. Then there are some adventure seekers. They want to do something adventurous in their life. So they want to go to different mountains, they want to reach to the peak, that location of Mount Everest and all. They find happiness in that. Some want to reach there. See, there is a difference. Even here, some want to reach there. They are finding happiness there. Some want to enjoy the process of reaching, that trekking process. They are enjoying that process. They are finding happiness in that. They are not interested in that end position as such. Then there are some spiritual individuals. They talk about spiritual practices. They talk about meditation, sense of correction, self-introspection, or just mindfulness. Make your mind calm and just observe. Don't be in past, don't be in present. Mostly what happens, we are either in the thoughts of past or thoughts of future. We're not in present. The mindfulness exercise will talk about this aspect, wherein be in present. So spiritual individuals find happiness in that state of mind, mindfulness state. Then there are some creative individuals, the artists. They get happiness in creating something, that art form, when they express themselves through music, through poetry, or through any other form of music. They get happiness. If I talk about philanthropists, so in the ethics I had talked about this dimension, wherein there are some people who feel that happiness, you cannot get happiness by grabbing something, but by giving away something. So philanthropists, when they help others, they get happiness. Then for nature lovers, there are some people, nature lovers, they like the nature a lot. So when they connect with the nature, when they are just even they are just sitting with beside a plant or an animal, they feel good. Then there are some intellectuals. They are way different than these people. Intellectuals and these adventure oriented people, there's a difference. These adventure oriented people, they want to go to different places, and these intellectuals, they also want to go to different places, but they don't want to walk and all. They want to just read the books. Through books they want to know entire world. Now these people, they get happiness by deepening their understanding of the world. Yes, they want to know the world. They are very much interested, and they get happiness through this. There are some social butterflies, social people, right? They want to just get involved with people, talk to people, just have parties and all those things. They enjoy that, socializing, forming friendships, all these things. Are you able to broadly look at the idea of happiness, how it is so different for everyone? Okay, this will form a very good content for you while writing, whether introduction, body, conclusion, anywhere. If you can utilize this part, this will be very much helpful for you. Okay. Now one more thing, while attempting such essays, you should be aware of what happiness means for you. Okay, while structuring the essay, you talk about there is no path to happiness, and then happiness is path. Okay, first let's discuss the essay part, and then I'll talk about that, what happiness means to you as such. That could be a new dimension that you can open up in this essay. Now for example, here we are talking about this essay. First of all, we start with this common misconception which writer is talking about, that there is a misconception that happiness is equal to achievement. You achieve something, you reach somewhere, that destination, there you get happiness. So we are calling it as wrong. You come up with examples, arguments, etc. Okay. Now look at this dimension. Happiness as a way of living. As I talked about mindfulness. So in mindfulness, I said, don't be in past or future, stay in the present. There you get the happiness. If we talk about the karma theory given in Bhagavad Gita, it talks about specifically the idea of detachment. Right? Don't attach with anything, be detached. Become that third person, get detached from everything and just perform your duties, your karmas. You will be happy. Now here, it's bringing happiness in the path, not as any achievement or end product. When you are attached to something, then you look at that end product. When you are detached, that nishkam karya, you must have read about it, right? Nishkam karma. You do your karma, don't think about the fruits. The fruits is this end part, this achievement part we are talking about. So the process where happiness becomes the path, this is where we can see. Okay. Then some people talk about this, something called seva bhav, right? Swami Vivekananda also talk about it. Even in foundational civil service value, we talk about this commitment towards public service, dedication towards public service, and you have this spirit of service in you. You need to have some spirit of service. So people with spirit of service, what they do is, they're doing that action for the sake of doing it. They're enjoying that process. They're emotionally into it. I talked about that example related to dedication of public service. That person's emotions are involved in that work. It is not going to happen at any cost that this person will feel demotivated for the work she has to do, because she's finding happiness in that process. Okay, when you're deeply involved, your emotions are there, your values are there. There, happiness acts as a path, not any destination as such. Okay, you can say people should follow their passion. Who follow their passion, they're enjoying the path. There's no destination for which they're looking for. They're enjoying that path. That you can show. Some people talk about this deeper happiness. Yes, deeper happiness, about this self-actualization part. Self-actualization in itself is a process, you see. It's a process. Again, the path of happiness. You talk about moral living. We talked about this virtue ethics part. Be virtuous, right? So when you're living in a moral sense, you don't care about the end thing, that if I do this, then I'll be happy, then things will be good. No, you'll just do what is good, and in the process you will be happy. Or the deontological form, or how the Gandhiji used to think, we can think about this part, that I was non-violent, I'm happy. I did what was supposed to be done. I spoke the truth. No, I'll do what is right. I am happy. You see, those people who have got this integrity, impeccable integrity, they're not doing something wrong. They know this thing. So in the process, they're very happy, right? Now this is just one side of the story. Another side of the story would be, you show the counter argument part. You see, whether you like it or not, but achievement certainly gives some kind of pleasure or happiness. You know, you achieve some kind of medal, you get some reward, some award, that feels good. Some degree, some medal, that feels good. You talk about this needs-based happiness. People look for some kind of pleasure and they feel good with it. Whether it is sexual pleasure, emotional pleasure, or an happiness that you get from your people, a kind of security that you get from people, or let's say the society, or let's say the state. Then delayed gratification. Some people delay that happiness process so that at the end when they will get it, they'll get it in the right form. So we talked about that delayed gratification when I talked about this emotional intelligence marshmallow experiment. So one thing is clear, such people, they wait for that end thing to happen. For example, Gandhiji wanted Swaraj, right? He waited for a very long time for that Swaraj to come, to become happy at the end. When the Swaraj will come, I'll be very happy. So you might talk about this counter side, but you will have very less arguments for sure. Not very, you don't have so many arguments, but you can show this side. This is for sure. Okay. At the end, you can give some practical takeaways, some solution way forward to the reader, what you should learn from all this essay. That, buddy, you should also do this. You should also find happiness in the process. Okay, follow your passion, be mindful. You should have a meaningful journey, etc., etc. You can talk about all these things. In the introduction, you can even come up with a story wherein a person, there's a story in one of the book, I don't remember the book, but that story was talking about a person who is very, very professionally successful. He's earning in crores. His wife is also earning in crores. He's having all the luxuries of life, what he needs. But he's not happy. He's crying. He's crying in his Ferrari or something. Okay, so such a good storyline can be built in the introduction to introduce all this content. Yes? Meaning we discussed. Now one thing again, just like you understood about the meaning of happiness differs for different people, you must know what is the meaning of happiness for yourself. Now this is about you. This is for you to self introspect, and not me to tell you what is happiness for you. Maybe you're a nature lover, you get happiness through that. You're different. You should know that very clearly from where you get happiness. For your life also, and for the essay writing also, for writing any answer, you should know about your values, what you like, your interests. So here, just for the sake of reading, I've mentioned over here. For example, the definition of happiness in my childhood was toys. Then I started finding happiness in my school with my friends. Then I found joy in scoring good marks and topping in the exam. There I was finding happiness. Then in my youth, getting handsome paying job. That was something which is giving me happiness. Then getting married to my beloved. That is giving happiness to me. Then giving happiness to my parents. That is also. Now after getting more maturity, giving back to the society, teaching to poor kids, doing some charity, talking to old people, all this gives me immense happiness. Earlier on my birthday, I used to throw big party to get kicked, but now I go to blind man hostel, not blind man hostel, you should use different word, to distribute sweets and all. Overall, what I'm trying to show you is, you should self-introspect on this aspect about happiness, that even your definition of happiness is changing continuously. You can quote anyone for that. You quote Socrates, you quote any person from literature. So there are some people who have done some shairi. In that shairi, they talk about this aspect, that we find our passions keep on changing. Sometimes our passion is in toy. We find happiness in toy. Sometimes we find it in a lady or in a relationship. Sometimes we don't find it in that. We want respect from the society. Sometimes we find it in God. So there are different ways through which our idea of happiness is changing. Okay, try to bring in all such content wherever necessary, because this theme is a repeated theme, is what I have observed. Any doubt on this? Yes? Any doubt as far as this essay is concerned? Now here, if I have to end this particular essay, to conclude, if not this one, whether this essay or anything related to happiness, something like this, if you can think of, each of us must ask ourselves, what truly makes me come alive? What gives me peace, purpose, fulfillment? The answers do not lie in external things, be it degrees, applause, possessions, but in that quiet inner space where our values, passions and actions come into harmony. Therefore, let us not wait for happiness to arrive someday in the future. Let us create it through the way we live, the choices we make and the meaning we seek. The happiest individuals are not those who have everything, but those who have discovered what truly matters and commit to living by it every single day. After all, the path is not to happiness, the path is happiness. What I want to grab your attention is to, you have brought the same theme exactly at the end. That is something very creative. Again, it requires practice for you to bring your essay to this line. And this was only possible if you had decided conclusion before writing the essay. This is only possible if you have done this in the beginning. Otherwise, in the flow, you will write whatever is coming. Fine? Any doubt? Any doubt on this essay till now? You can ask if you have any doubt. No? Okay. Now we'll try to just brainstorm on few topics, few keyword, few what I call as themes. We'll take a 2 minutes break and then we'll continue. So can there be an anecdote in conclusion also? Like in happiness theme, to give anecdote of Sindhutai Sapkal in conclusion. You can give, it's not, yeah, you can write, not a problem. But it's, look at this thing. Why you're writing conclusion? Think about this part. What is your mindset? In conclusion, you're ending whatever you have argued. I personally feel that there is two ways we write conclusion. Some people, they summarize whatever they have said, right? Or just give one message. What is essay? You were given one quote and now you're giving one message to the reader, right? As a reader, see, I did not want to read your essay. You attracted me. I was in my world. I was enjoying my life. You attracted with your introduction. Understand what should be written in introduction by that logic. You attracted me to read your essay through the introduction. I got interested in it. Then I read your essay entirely. Now you have to leave me back in my world. But when I'm going back to my world, I should remember something. Do you want me to remember the story that you have, the story of one person? Or do you want me to remember your message? That thought, that idea. What do you want me to remember? Okay. So you want me to remember that message. Stories are there to convey that message. Okay. So you can write that anecdote even in the conclusion, but you cannot end it just over there. You give something to this person. If you want to just use her story as an example to make your point, to make this message, that's fine. You can do it. Okay. But this reader should feel at the end, when you're ending the essay, he should feel that he got what your message was. He got it very clearly, and he's going to remember that. Okay. So more or less you have to just convince the reader. Just listen to me. I am right. Whatever I am saying, you should learn it. Okay. So maybe you can consider yourself teachers. while writing essay, you can consider yourself as teachers. So the teacher is talking so many things, but while saying so many things, narrating so many things, he conveys one point, whatever he wanted to teach you. So that's the same thing you're doing in essays. Okay. Now moving ahead, we will try to brainstorm few topics and done. Okay. For example, be the change you want to see in others. Do you understand this statement? I think we discussed in ethics when we were discussing Gandhiji. What Gandhiji meant by be the change you want to see in others. Even when we discussed Vivekananda also, this part is very common. That don't try to change the world. That is not the way of changing the world. If you want to change the world, then also don't try to change the world. Change yourself and automatically the world will start changing. So they talk about self-transformation. They talk about value-based change. They talk about changing the character of a person. They want you to become virtuous person, simple. You become a good person, automatically things will start reforming. Getting the point? So, do you understand the meaning? I just want you to understand the meaning of these essay topics. That's fairly enough. Or you can come up with this core keyword. This is one way you will get an idea about what's the essay talking about. This entire essay is talking about self-transformation. Can you reach to this keyword? Are you in a position right now? Yes? Now see another. With greater power comes greater responsibility. It's about being accountable, showing your accountability, right? Then words are sharper than the two-edged sword. Now this is a bit new for us. Now read this. Words are sharper than the two-edged sword. Yes or no? Are you getting the meaning or you're not getting the meaning? No? Doubtful? See what they are saying. Words are sharper than two-edged sword. Remove that two-edged word. It's talking about the sword. That means words are sharper than swords. That means words are dangerous. Words are dangerous. Impact of our ideas. No, impact of not our ideas. Impact of our words. The specific term is given words and not ideas. Okay. So they are talking about whatever you speak. Whatever you speak. That language part. Your words which are coming out, they are dangerous. Dangerous meaning they can have very dangerous impact. That's what the statement is trying to say. Think about it. Have you ever observed your words causing a big harm for the society? Can you think about it? At individual level, I can think about it that when I'm angry and I say something horrible, the person in front of me gets destroyed. You know, that person's self-confidence, everything gets destroyed. You know, that person gets hurt very badly, very deeply. I can think about that aspect. When I look at the politics, I can imagine that hate speech. Yes, hate speech, or to persuade, whatever speeches are given as part of the propaganda. Many speeches are given by the political leaders or many people. What they are doing is, do you really think whatever they are saying, their words are doing some good thing, or they're causing more harm to the society? Now, this particular statement, that is very much one-sided. Obviously, they're just talking about one side, that words are dangerous. But even if it is talking one-sided, it is trying to give one message. What is the message? And that message should be your conclusion at the end. That be mindful of what you're saying. Use your words wisely. Be mindful of your words. Think before you speak. That is the line we normally use. That's the same thing the writer is trying to give over here. So it's about this language ethics, consequences of your speech, the power your words hold. Okay? Easy? You can elaborate. This is a good essay to write. Okay, try this today to write if possible. Next one. Lending hands to someone is better than giving a dole. Lending hand to someone than giving a dole. Can you tell me, are you able to comprehend? See, these are all from previous year questions, previous year papers, all these quotes. Are you able to comprehend what this means? Capability over charity. Very good. You have exactly got the meaning. That it is said that don't give fish, teach them fishing. Okay. So instead of just helping someone in the form of money or in the form of kind or anything, rather improve that person's capability. Okay. Make him learn things. If you can help that person in this manner. See, both the things are for the helping only, but here this help is developing the capability of that person. So that's what we call as empowerment of the person, right? So this is the keyword. We are getting to that keyword very well. This one, quick but steady wins the race. Yes, are you getting the meaning? Quick but steady wins the race. It's easy, quite easy. Quick, we understand what do we mean by quick. We understand steady, right? So it's about actually two parameters, the speed part and that progress part, in which there is some role of stability. Okay, in your progress you're just focusing on speed. No, you can focus on this dimension also. When both are there, then what you get is this quick but steady wins the race. Okay, yes, consistency, not just consistency. Consistency would not be the right word to use. Okay, it's about the balance this entire quote is focusing on, that instead of just focusing on your speed, okay, we want to grow fast, we want to grow very fast. No, there should be some stability in life. It's just in the name of speed, if you're moving, there's no stability in your life, you'll have many problems. So what you need is a blend of both. A person having a blend of both. There is some speed and there is some stability in life, things will go good. Okay. So it's talking about balance, and it is expected from you at the end also that you talk about balance, not getting into that extreme acts. Okay. Next, character of an institution is reflected in its leader. Character of an institution is reflected in its leader. It seems they have asked from ethics directly. Means we are getting substantial content from ethics. Yes. Character of an institution is reflected in its leader. So they're talking about the role of leader, how important the leader is, what leader thinks, what value sets leader is having. All that has an impact on the entire institution, entire organization. Okay, by this statement, they are expecting you to come to the conclusion that you show that you should become a leader who is showing moral leadership. You adhere to morality, you adhere to the important values. That's the message you have to give to the reader. That this moral leadership matters a lot. It's not like just make anyone leader, or it doesn't really matter when it comes to leadership. Ratan Tata, can you think of, means as soon as I read, I'm thinking about Ratan Tata. The Tata is a brand. There is some role of Ratan Tata in that. His values are playing an important role in that. Okay. So good one, moral leadership we can talk about. So here you can talk about the institution, you can talk about the leader specifically, his vision, his values, everything. Now, education without values, as useful as it is, seems rather to make a man more clever devil. Very, very nice essay to write. I would have personally chosen this essay to write. Because anyway, I have very good content with me, everything from ethics, the values part, value education part, right? We have discussed in detail this part. Yes, can you write? Are you able to comprehend the message? What is this clever devil and all? Are you able to comprehend? I repeat, education without values, as useful as it is, seems rather to make a man more clever devil. Yes, are you able to comprehend the meaning? Yes, very good. So here we are just focusing on that instrumental knowledge, the knowledge element, and value part is missing. And it seems this value, moral education, who studies, it's not that important. That's the mindset. Education without values seems very useful. That will make you very clever person. But because of lack of values, you'll be a devil and not a hero. You'll not do good things with that knowledge. Right? We discussed this part in detail. Okay, you can see how content of ethics is directly relevant for essay here. Then, crisis faced in India, moral or economic, we have discussed this in detail. Dreams which should not let India sleep. Dreams which should not let India sleep. Easy, decently easy, because it's talking about the dream India should think about. India should not sleep. It's talking about the aspiration of India. And here India as a whole. Okay, India as a whole we are talking about. What kind of dreams we have. There you can go. When if development is not engendered, it is endangered. Now this is a very good line. If development is not engendered, it is endangered. What do you understand by this? Development not being engendered. So here they're showing the role of gender and development. And overall, this theme is exactly talking about the conclusion that what we need is inclusive development, inclusive growth. Development would be the right word over here to use. If in your developmental process, only men are part of it, or the other genders are not part of it, or it is not so inclusive, it's not just about gender, but it's not so inclusive, then it is endangered. It's a useless kind of a development. This is what the writer is saying. We agree? Anyway, we agree with this statement. No way we are going against it. Right? So, inclusive development, gender inclusivity is something they are focusing on. Yes, we are reaching to the keyword. Now, need brings greed. If greed increases, it spoils breed. Oh, very interesting. Need brings greed. If greed increases, it spoils breed. Was it breed or bread? I'm not sure. But as far as I can get the meaning of it, the greed starts because of some need. And this is something I had discussed in the last lecture, that there is a possibility of a moral crisis which has a source in an economic crisis. Because you're in an economic crisis, because of your need, you get into this part. Okay, that's possible. Your economic problems, because of which you become little greedy towards things, to achieve things. Okay, so this is possible. This is what even writer is saying here. Need brings greed. If greed increases, that's a problem. You're getting it? Till here, it was not so problematic. It became problematic when greed became so much. Okay, this part we have discussed in ethics, right? Greed and all. So I think easily you can write on this. Next, destiny of a nation is shaped in its classroom. Destiny of a nation is shaped in its classroom. Have you studied this? Is it easy for you to understand? Easy, very easy. Destiny of a nation. Destiny of a nation. What the nation will see after a few years. What kind of society in this nation will have, what kind of people we will have, what they will do, what will be their value system, everything depends on the values inculcated, the knowledge inculcated, everything, whatever schools are teaching right now, that's going to decide the future. Simple. So it's about education, and here when we say education, it's talking about all kinds of education. So that technical one, you say the knowledge part, you say moral education part, everything, you say the professional part, everything. Okay, everything. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Now this is a bit difficult to attempt if you want to, because the idea of gratitude is something you have to focus on. Okay, being in the state of joyfulness, that they are calling it as the simplest form of gratitude. So bit difficult. Maybe we will try to write on this. Maybe tomorrow we'll try. Okay, this one let's try. Fulfillment of new women in India is a myth. Fulfillment of new women in India is a myth. Is it a myth? When we say new women, there's a difference between an old woman and a new woman in India right now. Old woman was not so educated. She did not know anything. She was not economically powerful enough, empowered enough. But this new woman, she's different. She's even fighting with the patriarchal structure. So think about this dimension. Is it a myth or not? You don't need to agree always. You have to think about it. Then We may brave human laws but cannot resist natural laws. We may brave human laws but cannot resist natural laws. The point is, they're talking about natural laws. When you say human laws, the laws we are bringing in. Now, those could be laws brought by your culture or by your state, anything. Natural laws, as being a human being or being part of this nature, the nature has given me some laws, some rights. Those natural laws, you can't go against them. Okay? You can think about it, not a big deal. Okay? Any doubt? Means, as in, I'm just trying to say this thing that while brainstorming, are you reaching to this keyword? That means you're reaching to what we really want to study. Okay, overall, whatever we discussed till now, I'll just get back. So we started with the introduction part, wherein we understood how you can come up with some kind of hook to catch the attention of the reader. You can use quotes, but don't just use it for the sake of using it. It should be naturally suitable there. Then after quote, you have this debate part. You can show some debate in the introduction. You can use current affairs to build a story. Then you can state some thought-provoking questions, right? Then easier way is to define or explain some keywords. We studied some stories, anecdotes also. That's my personally favorite is story and anecdote. That looks good. Do one thing, in one essay use anecdote, in another essay use some other method. That would also look good. Okay. Then we discuss this essay in detail, and you have substantial content for any topic or any question related to happiness. Okay. And we try to brainstorm on few of these quotes. Any doubts if you have, please ask, or else for today we will wrap up the session. Tomorrow will be our last class. We'll end this essay session tomorrow. I'll discuss as much as possible so that you remain prepared. So if you have any doubts tomorrow also, you can ask. Okay. No doubts for now? Great. Okay. So thank you so much for joining. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.